All right, guys, we're hopping right back into this. I realized that I forgot something in this table where I need the group or the position. You can think of it any way that you want. A typical thing in sports science is to have a position that you can filter by. We have groups, and these are in the athletes' profiles or the code name profiles here. Their cohort of interest is their group. I'm going to call it. So in our plan, we have a group filter where we can filter this table by the group. In order to do that, we need the group in this table. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to do index match. I've gone over this a couple times previously, but I'll keep on going through. Equals index. So what do I want in this column? I want the table profile data, table prof. I want the cohort of interest. But only when it matches up. So comma match from parenthesis lookup value. Only when this code name, so lookup value matches comma to a lookup array, which is the table profile code name field, comma 0 exact match. So I want the cohort of interest from the profile table when this code name matches up with the code name in the profile table that where we're getting the cohort of interest from. Click enter. Okay, great. Now I have their group or their position or their cohort of interest, whatever you wanna term it. And now if I go back to my planning, I think we can tackle these big bucket items here. This is kind of like the overview. We have our filters up top to manipulate stuff with. Then we have some general items, and what'll end up happening is I'll make these kind of big and bold as general overviews. And then we'll color code the table a little bit, and maybe I'll do some text logic. Probably I'll do that at the very end, maybe, because we already have the data showing here. And then of course we have the averages from the table beneath for the groups. And by groups, I mean these groups, or you can think of them as positions for sports science or something else. We'll have those averages beneath, and then we'll have some sort of graph at some point. So I'm going to tackle these items. And there are going to be some issues with my data that with the way that the data is currently organized with calculating these, but we'll work through those together because this is real life and this is what happens. So what we first notice is these things in the planning, these overview things, they're going to work the same way that the data in the table is going to work. And when I say that, I mean, if the past X number of days is blank, then we're going to take the average of whatever the date is for the general class averages. But if there's something in this cell, then we are going to take an average of the number of days previous to that date up to that date. It's a little bit confusing when I say it like that, but you go through these videos in order and you'll understand what's going on. So what that allows me to do is I can repurpose this attendance formula. I copied it, I'm pasting the formula. It's going to be kind of similar, but also at the same time very different. I'm going to change a bunch of things around, and I'm going to try to explain what I'm doing here. The reason why I like sum ifs and average ifs formula, and they're also max ifs and min ifs, is because they're just interchangeable. You can kind of just plug and play. This formula will work. It'll do something. It's not going to do what I want it to do, but I could click enter and something will happen. Whereas if I were using count ifs or something like that, nothing would happen. Now, I don't want to do this though. What I want to do is I want to count the ones, and I've talked about the ones previously. All that is that there's a 1 in every row. So all this is it's counting everyone. So just count everyone once for every single date. And I'm saying count them when the table attendance refined is 1. That means that they were here. Count the number of people that were here when the date is equal to that date. And the code name is equal to that code name, which we don't need anymore because there are no code names involved with this. And the academic year is equal to that academic year. And ones is 1, but you don't have to worry about that. So now what this should do is if this is blank, which it is, we should get a sum of all the people that were here on that day. Before I move on with that, I'm just going to make it the same in this formula so I don't forget, because the same thing is going to happen essentially. So sum of the table ones when attendance were fined or when people are here. The date is between those dates, and again, we don't need the code name stuff. I'm gonna click enter. Oh, it's a percentage. Let's make it a number. 28. We got 28 people here on this day. That's what Excel is telling me. We can confirm that. Attendance 1 means that someone was here. Let's see how many ones we have. 28 ones. Perfect. But we don't want the total number of people. We want a percentage. And the way that we can do that is we can divide it by pretty much the same thing with one minor alteration. So I'm gonna copy this, divide by the same thing, except now I want to divide by everyone, not just the people that are here. So by removing the conditional criteria that says when table refined is equal to 1, or table attendance refined is 1, now I'm saying to Excel, get everyone that was here on this date and that academic year and divide by everyone regardless of whether or not they were here on that date in that academic year. And if I click enter, the number, if I change it to a percentage, now we get a percentage. And we can quickly check if this is right by, so we had 28 ones, right? Or we had 28 people that are here. So percentage. I'm just changing formatting and decimals up here. I just do. Oh, because it was a percentage first. All right, 28 people. Now, how many people weren't here? 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that there. So equals 28 over 32. Percentage again. 87.5. Perfect. So that worked. Now what we have to do is we need to do the exact same thing that we did there to the second part of our if equation. So that was if that's blank. We were dealing with what happens on that date. Now we're saying if it's not blank, we just want to do the same thing that we were doing before. And again, remove on the denominator of the calculation, remove whether or not the variable that someone has to be here. So now we're telling Excel, take all the people that were here, less than or equal to this date, and greater than or equal to this date minus the number of days, which is a date range, and then divide it by the total number of people that appear within that date range. I'm going to click enter. It's not going to do anything right now. If I were to put in a number of days, the percentage should change. And what that's telling me is between whatever, oh man, what did I do? People between 128 and 24 that were here versus not here, whereas 3.8% of people attended class within those 7 days. That's what that's saying. And then if I remove this, it goes back to just being about this date. So that's great. We have that. Now what we need is we need the year average. And when we do the year average, we don't care about the dates. And a really easy way to go about doing this is just to copy and paste what we have for the first part of the equation. I'm just going to paste it in beneath. So we're doing the exact same thing, except now we're removing the criteria that has anything to do with date. So now we want the total number of people that were here. Attendance refined as 1 within this academic year. And we want to divide it by the total people that were here, regardless of the date, within that academic year in total. Enter. 91.3% of people over the course of the year were here. Now, this is going to work very much the same way as exercise, but there's going to be an issue, and we'll see that in a second. And the same thing, or with injuries, and the same thing will happen with exercise, and we'll deal with those. So I'm going to copy, paste those formulae down. I'm just going to write attendance up here. I'm going to write injury up here, just so I know what's going on. Highlight these, and I'm going to replace attendance refined with injury refined, which is the name of my column header in my table, because these equations are working the exact same way and doing the exact same thing pretty much. So injury, replace attendance refined with injury refined in those two cells. So these are both low percentages of the percent of people that were full. And the reason why that is because we're not considering the people that do not have an injury status here. These blanks are not being considered. In other words, we are considering people that did not attend class. So, okay, how do we deal with this? What we're going to find out is that if we try to say, well, one way to do it is on the denominator, we say ignore people with blanks in their injury status. And I think that's a fine way to do it. It just won't work. I can't tell you the reason why, but Excel doesn't like doing that. It likes numbers. So I'm going to type in the denominator after the divided by some ifs, all the people, but they have to have been here. So table daily, what was it? Attendance refined, or I could say, sure, actually, I could say attendance refined is 1. That should be fine, because now we're dividing all the people with full statuses by all the people that were here regardless of their injury status. And I'll just have to do that to the bottom equation too, which I can do. Table daily attendance refined is 1. Looks better, looks more like it. And then I'll do the same thing here to the bottom. For the year average, again, I just want to consider the people that were here. So table daily attendance refined 1. Perfect. Now, since this better suits my needs for exercise, I'm going to copy this, paste it, and say exercise. But now, instead of injury refined being 1, we want to count the people with exercise 24-hour is 1. That's because I think that's the name of my column in here. Exercise 24 HR. So I'm going to highlight these two cells, find, replace, copy that. Replace injury refined now, because I copy and pasted the ones with injury refined, replacing attendance refined with exercise 24-hour. And I want to touch on this for a second. I did that intentionally. The reason why I did it is because if I replaced these with the attendance refined ones, or pretty much I'd be replacing two. Attendance refined appears in that formula. So if I were to replace attendance refined, it would screw things up, because it would replace it in places that I don't want to replace it in. So I'm going to make those replacements. Now I have the percentage of people that exercised on this day versus the year average down here. And let's say I want to know about the 10 days previous in aggregate or on average. All right, less people exercised overall, I guess, over the past 10 days relative to 2-4 compared with just 2-4 alone. All right, great. So now that we have those, let's just knock these two out. Class wellness average, class SRPE average, and we want the year averages of those two. Okay, just need to think about this for a second. We don't want sum ifs, we want average ifs. Let's just do the same thing that we did, but use one of those items. Readiness score is the wellness. Let's put that up there. Oops, I don't want to paste everything, just paste the formula. So if that's blank, we want the readiness score. If the date is equal to that date, fine. Codename is equal to codename. We don't care about the codename anymore because this is class averages, and the academic year is that academic year, and table ones is 1. That's fine. And then we just have to remove the codename from the bottom of the equation too, in case this is not blank. Enter. 18.25 is the average readiness score for this day, and I can just check, let's say, what about the past 7 days before that also? It changes slightly. That's good. It's working. I just clicked undo. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to do the year average, which I'm actually going to copy and paste this formula in here. It's closer to the year average, but instead of the sum, because we're using the sum in these formulae because we're counting things. Whereas this, we're taking an average of something. I change this to average ifs. And I'm going to change this to readiness score because I want the average of the readiness score. And I don't care about exercise, but I do care about the academic year. And again, I'm going to change this to average ifs. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. I don't need that at all. So now I'm getting the average readiness score for this academic year for every person. But with that being said, I also only want to consider the people that were here. So I'm going to go table, daily, attendance, refined, equal is 1. So now, again, I'm only considering the people that were here. What I should check for is here, I'm not just considering for the people that are here, I'm considering for this for everybody. And I need to just accommodate for the people that are here to make it consistent. So I'm going table daily, attendance refined, it's 1. And let's just do that again. The bottom, table daily, attendance refined is 1. Okay, perfect. Now we have readiness, 3 S's, because 3 is better than 2. And copy this, put it over, and change it to SRPE. Now all we have to do, highlight these 2 cells, assuming that our logic remains the same. Oops, change readiness score to SRPE. Now we have SRPEs for this day and the year. Let's just check. What about the past 10 days? All right, things are changing, and the year averages should not change, which they are not, which is great. So now once we make these all big, bold, and colorful, we're going places. We're gonna have some pretty stuff up top here. Once we get a nice title, maybe I'll just create a space for that right now. And I don't know. This is gonna change, but just to give you some, because we haven't done anything pretty yet. Use some semblance of, let's say, team report, or I wonder if we can do this. Equals concatenate team report for, say, team report for and then I'm going to do date. No, I'm going to do text. Whatever this is, MMBBYY. That's telling Excel I want to put together the words team report for with that date, and that's it. All right, cool. So now if I change this date, let's just say I go to 1/30/2020. Team report for 1/30/2020. Perfect. Should I make this a little bit bigger? Maybe 60. That's a little bit big. Or 40. And I'm probably going to change this. I don't know, but just to give you some semblance of, all right, this is kind of a report that's like coming together to a certain extent. I should put some colors on it. All right, so this is the kind of the start of the body of our report, and we'll start making things prettier in the next video here. And thanks for watching. We're cruising through. We're almost there. Remember, we have these groupings too. I just ungrouped everything. We're gonna definitely utilize these to do our conditional formatting in this table. All right, I'll catch you in the next video.